I'll wait. I'll wait for you guys to get ready. Get your beers. Get your notepads and your pens. Ask your questions. I'm going to be here for a while. I'm not going anywhere. And I'm trying to think, like, how do I start this? Because it's such a – I almost knocked out everything before it even started. It's such a massive loss. And I think starting out with the quarterback is wrong. And I think starting out with the coaches is wrong. I'm going to get to them because they have a lot to answer for. But I want to start at the top with Jed York and talk about this organization. Because Niners have one good year last year. It was a great year. We all loved it. It was a lot of fun. And I think a lot of us thought, well, this is the new normal for the 49ers. This is what they are now. And people that have covered this team for a long time, followed this team for a long time, know that just because Kyle has promise, Saleh has promise, Lynch has promise, it's the same owner, Jed York. And for whatever reason, Jed York and his parents have created a bad organization. Bad organizations cannot sustain success. Look at the Falcons. That's a bad organization. Falcons went to the Super Bowl, and they fired Dan Quinn today. And they have a franchise quarterback. We're going to get to Jimmy, who's not a franchise quarterback. We're going to get to him. The Niners look like the Falcons right now. Going to the Super Bowl, who cares? Now they're 2-3. And again, this stems from the top. This is a pattern with Jed York. Any success the Niners have is short-lived. Seahawks aren't like that. Seahawks have been good for a decade. The Patriots have been good for 2 decades. The Steelers have been good since what, the 70s? Good organizations find ways to consistently win. This is not a good organization. They had one good year. They came back and told themselves they were still the best team, no matter what. They're not. They didn't get better this offseason. They lied to themselves. And here's what Jed York did. It starts with him. Jed York, since he got the team in 2008, has been desperate for validation. Desperate to say, look, I'm doing a good job. Things are on the right track. He's gone through 8 coaches. How many? So they have one good year with Kyle Shanahan. They don't win the Super Bowl, but they make it very far. And what does Jed York do? Give everyone extensions as if they won something, because that makes Jed feel like he's validated. Can't criticize Jed. He's got the organization stable. Everyone that needs to be here is locked in for the future. So Jed can say, look, I'm like Eddie D. I have my Bill Walsh. The organization is set. I'm not going to mess with it anymore. But every time Jed jumps the gun, he jumps the gun every time. How about let Kyle Shanahan prove himself one more time? Let Kyle Shanahan have back-to-back winning seasons for the first time in his life as a head coach or a coordinator. He had 3 years left on his contract. What was the rush? Jed, did you think Kyle Shanahan was going to coach better after giving him a contract extension and taking all the incentive and urgency away from him? How did he coach his first year in 2017 when he had 5 years left? He's not good at finding ways to win. He was good last year, coached his ass off last year. This year he has another 5 years to go, and it looks like season's over. I blame Jed. He set the tone for this whole offseason, and the tone was, we're happy with losing the Super Bowl. We've established ourselves as like the Seahawks, like the Patriots. We're the new Patriots. We're going to be good for the next 10 to 20 years because we had one good season and lost the Super Bowl. That's what Jed said. I can see it. I can see into the future. I don't need to see anything more from Kyle Shanahan. He's below 500 as a coach. I don't care. I'm locking him in for the next 6 years. I'm locking everyone in. Kittle, everyone. And we're going to be great. Didn't work that way. So Jed York started this. Good organizations don't get blown out by the Dolphins ever. Ever. Did the Seahawks get blown out by the Dolphins? No. Would the Rams get blown out by the Dolphins? No. The Patriots play the Dolphins twice a year. Do the Patriots ever get blown out by the Dolphins? No. You can't blame just Jimmy for this or just Brian Allen for this. This was an organizational meltdown. They're 0-3 at home. They haven't beaten a team that has any wins. They've beaten winless teams. This team was in the Super Bowl last year. They partied after the Super Bowl with Lil Wayne. Didn't think that maybe they should cancel that one. Didn't improve the team. Said they're already the best. All they need to do is bring back as many people as possible. And they're shocked. Paid a bunch of people. The only people that I see who still have the same type of urgency that they had last year on the field are the guys who didn't get paid. Kittle's not the same. The guys who are still the same, Raheem Mostert, Kerry Hyder, he's new. Eric Armstead, he got paid. He still plays hard. Jaquaski Tart. Really, the players who have had the best season on this team, Tart and Hyder. Those are their best players right now. And Fred Warner, excuse me, I forgot Fred Warner. Another guy who hasn't gotten paid. Guys who still have something to prove. Jed. You don't always have to pay people after like 3 months. You did it with Jimmy. How'd that work? You had control of Jimmy. You could have tagged him. Look, I don't know, but I'm speaking from my personal experience. It's benefited me as a human being to have to work and earn the things that I get. It's really helped me that Jed York hasn't stepped in and given me $8 million because he liked 3 of my Periscopes, or 4. I have to prove myself every day and work for the money I get. Not Jimmy, not anyone in this organization. If Jed likes you, he'll set you for life before you've accomplished anything. Again, until the Yorks sell or Jed York grows up immensely, they're always going to find a way to ruin any success they have. Okay? So let's stop with Jed York and talk about Kyle. Kyle Shanahan has to be the most overrated head coach in the NFL. He's not a head coach. He's a coordinator who had 1 good season as a head coach. There's no excuse for what's going on with him right now. I mean, the defense has a lot of excuses. We'll get to the defense. But the offense? 17 points. You had Mostert, you had McKinnon, Kittle, Debo, Ayuk, Garoppolo. Everyone except for Weston Richburg. And that's the best you can do? I mean, the run game isn't tricking people like it did last year. The end arounds are gone. The jet sweeps are gone. What makes this offense exciting this year? And forget his offense, because that's judging him as a coordinator. He's a head coach. Was this team ready to play this season? Again, it seems to me Shanahan set the Niners up for failure this year. In the NFL, you have to prove yourself every game, every year. His attitude was, no, we're the best team in the league, and we proved that last year, even though we lost the Super Bowl. That was his attitude. And then coming into this game, the message he seemed to convey to his team and the media was that no big deal losing to the Eagles. It was Nick Mullins' fault. How do you expect me to beat the Eagles with that guy? You lied to yourself. It wasn't Nick Mullins' fault. I mean, it wasn't all his fault. I mean, you really thought Jimmy Garoppolo was going to magically make this better? He can't block. He can't move. We're going to get to Garoppolo in a minute. But look, I feel like it's the Jed York disease. Everyone in the Bay Area is so quick to anoint people after like 3 months of success. Kyle Shanahan has 1 good season, still under 500 as a head coach, and he's a Hall of Famer. No. And now you got 5 more years of him. This guy better figure it out, because the defense isn't coming back this year. I mean, it's not. They'll get Emmanuel Mosley back, and the defense will be better. But the offense has to lead the way, and that wasn't an offense that's going anywhere this year. What's the excuse? Jimmy was hurt. He was healthy enough to play. They saw him all throughout the week and decided he's good to go. Then he plays bad and they create an excuse for him? I don't buy that. So what I see from Kyle Shanahan is a guy who was anointed something he's not early. He's a coordinator who, look at his record. Kyle Shanahan has been a coordinator, I believe, for 12 years. Most of the time, he has his offense ranked in the top half of the league in yards. He gets yards. But points? His offense, 12 years as a coordinator, has ranked top half of the league in points 3 times. 3 times in 12 years, and never 2 years in a row. Talk about not sustaining success. This guy has always been a one-off coach. He'll go somewhere, he'll have a few bad years, have one bad year and leave. We don't know what would have happened with the Falcons if he had stayed there. He might have fallen off. He's never had 2 good years in a row. And now you got 5 more years of him. I blame Jed. I don't think the Niners would be 2-3 right now if Jed had just closed his pocketbook, said no to Kyle Shanahan when he asked for the extension, and paid players. Should have paid Jadeveon Clowney. Should have brought in another cornerback. Instead of giving your head coach an extension he doesn't need, get more players. But you know what? Probably from Jed's perspective, Kyle's telling him, we don't need, we're good. I need the money. I'm the MVP. My scheme is important. I scheme everyone open. Well, today he didn't scheme anyone open. Today he got out coached by Brian Flores. Brian Flores had Kyle Shanahan's number today. Everything Kyle Shanahan tried to do, Brian Flores was on top of it. Seemed like he had that offense perfectly scouted. And you know, that's what happened when Shanahan faced the other Bill Belichick disciple 2 years ago. Here, Matt Patricia. They won that game, barely. Jimmy Garoppolo got sacked 6 times and threw a pick 6 to lose the game that got called back because of a bogus penalty away from the play. That was 2 years ago against Patricia. This was even worse. I mean, I'm sure Brian Flores called Patricia and said, what do I do? Or they've talked about it before. They worked together in the past. Flores was prepared. That's 2 weeks in a row that a defensive coordinator has completely outcoached Kyle Shanahan, the offensive coordinator. Shanahan, the head coach, doesn't have a clue. He can't motivate his guys. I mean, after the game, he just sits there and drones on in a monotone. There's nothing inspirational about that. He doesn't seem angry. He doesn't seem to have answers. I mean, you could see Jim Harbaugh seething at press conferences after games like that. There was an era of this is unacceptable and I'm not going to let it happen. By my force of will, I'm going to turn this around. Shanahan's just like, well, what's my excuse today? Today, basically, he blamed Akello Witherspoon. He said, you know, we didn't want to play Brian Allen, but Akello told us he was hurt. So, you know, finally, Witherspoon came up to us and said he'd be willing to play. So we put him in. Dude, don't blame Akello. Your offense scored 17 points. It's not Akello's fault. You had Jimmy. You had Ayuk, who you love. You had Debo, who you handpicked. You had Raheem Mostert, who played great. 17 points. Kyle Shanahan. 25 and 28 as a head coach. I don't know, guys. You know, I do feel a little validated and vindicated because I've been bringing this stuff up about Jed, about Kyle, and about Jimmy, like for years. And they have 3 good months last year, and everyone's like, Grant, you're a hater. You don't know what you're talking about. And all offseason, I'm like, hey, you know, I know the Niners had a good season, but they still have to find a way to get better. People are like, no, that's impossible. They're way better than the rest of the league. Right? I said, hey, Jimmy had a good year, but that was kind of manufactured by a lot of short passes and a run game and a great defense. Maybe the Niners should upgrade while they can. Maybe the Niners should go get Aaron Rodgers while he's having a little spat with Matt LaFleur. Too late. Maybe the Niners should sign Tom Brady because that's a guy who never misses games. Too late. Everyone was like, Grant, you know what you're talking about. You're being negative. Jimmy's great. Look at his numbers. Yada, 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 yada. Use your eyes. You lied to yourself. You saw this. Deep down, you agreed with me. And you just got caught up in the good feelings of being a fan. I understand that, but I'm not a fan. It's my job to actually call it like it is. And I've been calling it like it is. And now you guys are surprised? I feel a little stupid for picking this team to win 12 games. These are the Niners. They don't sustain success. It's bigger than Kyle, bigger than Saleh, bigger than Jimmy. Let's talk about Jimmy. Let's talk about Jimmy Garoppolo. Doesn't it seem like the Jimmy Garoppolo era ended today unofficially? I mean, they tried to give him excuses and said he's still hurt. Whatever. They saw him in practice all week and said he was good to go. He didn't look hurt today. He looked exactly like he looked week 1, which was terrible. Jimmy Garoppolo's issue is that he can't move. Ever since he tore his ACL, he can't move. And it seems to me, and in 2020, if you have a quarterback who can't move, you're not going anywhere. Offensive line play has gotten terrible. Defensive line play has gotten really good. And if you're just a statue back there, where are you going? Nowhere. That's Jimmy. Jimmy is a guy who is past his prime. He's not even 2 full seasons into his career, and he's past his prime. His prime ended the minute he tore his ACL in Kansas City. All the athleticism and confidence he had in 2017 is gone. He goes behind that offensive line and looks no better than Nick Mullins. The interceptions today were just as bad as Mullins, if not worse. I mean, he wasn't taking hits when he threw those balls. He just looks like he has the yips. Like, unless he's facing the Jets, he's unsure of himself. He's not good. Now, I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback because, look, I don't think any quarterback's going to play well behind this line. Not Brady, not Breeze. It's a terrible line. But Jimmy, they're paying him way too much money to keep leaving games at halftime because he's hurt. Past 2 games, he couldn't make it past halftime. Tom Brady doesn't miss games. He's 43, 44. He makes it through games. So he's not durable. He doesn't read defenses well. Doesn't have a big arm. Not mobile. And he's extremely expensive. Now, the Niners are at the point where they need to find a quarterback next year. They need to already be scouting. John Lynch right now needs to be on his computer looking at quarterbacks who will be available in the first round and free agents and guys he could trade for. I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots have already called him and been like, so what do you think of Jimmy? You still want him? We'll take him. We'll give you a 3rd. Hey, a 4th. What do you say? We'll give you a 4th right now for Jimmy Garoppolo. Guys, the Niners believed in this guy because of 7 starts in 2017 and 1 good year last year where he was like, had led the league in yards after catch. I mean, the Niners were so arrogant about their quarterback situation. Now they have no quarterbacks on the team who are worth anything right now. They demoted Nick Mullins. C.J. Beathard's worthless, and Jimmy Garoppolo's going down the drain. They haven't drafted a quarterback since 2017, since Beathard. Beathard shouldn't be on this team. He stinks. He hasn't improved. He's been wasting a roster spot for 3 years. Imagine if the Niners had gotten – I understand keeping Mullins. He's shown things. He's won 4 games in the league. Garoppolo, too. He's won a lot of games. Not Beathard. They could have got rid of him years ago and drafted other guys. They could have Jared Stidham right now, backup for the Patriots. Instead, they drafted a freaking punter because everything was so great. They were so set up for future success. They drafted a punter. Could have had. I'm not saying Stidham's great, but they need as many talented quarterbacks as possible to develop because they don't have them. They're developing CJ. What's to develop? There's no talent there. His talent is taking hits. He's a human crash test dummy. He's been on this team. This is 4th season. Kyle, Jimmy. So the Niners don't have a franchise quarterback. Now they got to go into the draft next year. They need a corner. They need a quarterback. Is this Super Bowl window totally shut? How do they reload? And they don't have cap space. They need to find a quarterback, a guy who can move, and a guy who doesn't cost $27 million a year. Tough place to be in, right? And to think just 2 weeks ago after the Niners beat the Giants, we were thinking Super Bowl contenders. You know, we've learned a lot and Jed York's learned a lot. It's not as easy as throwing money at a bunch of people who've had one winning season. It's not that simple. That doesn't give you sustained success. He's still figuring it out. What do I want to talk about next? Let's talk about the defense. Let's talk about Robert Saleh. 43 points given up, the most ever given up in Levi Stadium. You could say, hey, Robert, Brian Allen on the field, you got to give him safety help. There's something to that. First play of the game, he gets beat deep. They're playing cover 3. Zone. I mean, he should be able to do that. Brian Allen and not get beaten deep. Because the whole thing with cover 3 is you play on top of the wide receiver. You concede the stuff underneath. You don't get beat deep. Allen gets beat deep. So, I mean, you can't call cover 3. You can't call man coverage. It seems to me Brian Allen was so bad in this game, there was nothing Saleh could call. The Niners lost this game before it started. The fact is, the Dolphins were the more talented team today. The Dolphins were the better team today. I mean, any coverage Saleh called, they were going to find Brian Allen on the field and exploit him. And if it's true that the Niners couldn't play Witherspoon because Witherspoon refused and only came up to them midway through the game and said, okay, fine, now I'll play. Well, the fault lies in drafting Witherspoon and keeping him. The fault is letting your season come down to Brian Allen in the first place. And this isn't Monday morning quarterbacking or hindsight. Every year I'm the guy that says draft a corner. Sign a corner. It's the most important position on defense. You can't just get by with a bunch of misfits and castoffs. It's important. They don't listen because I don't know what I'm talking about. And now it's costing their season. The issue isn't make Brian Allen work. The issue is never get to the Brian Allen level. Because when you get to the Brian Allen level, you're screwed. So I blame Saleh. I blame Shanahan. I blame Lynch. It's an organizational philosophy. I blame Parag Marath. They've all decided that cornerback is an overrated position and you can get by with cast-offs and mid-round picks, and that's bogus. It's bogus. They need to update their roster building strategy. So I blame Saleh for that. I think he has a big influence on what they draft. I also blame Kyle Shanahan. I was going to blame Shanahan for starting Allen in the first place and not benching him sooner. But if what he said is correct and Witherspoon actually said, I can't play, and then changed his mind, I mean, again, the issue is not who you played. The issue is that you got to this point at all. Unacceptable. And it starts with the front office. Guys, it's 2020. Cornerback's a pretty important position. It's a pass-first league. It's a shotgun league. It's a spread league, which means the ball comes out really, really fast, and you need a lot of good corners. Not just 2, not just 3, not just 4. You need depth there like you had on your D-line, okay? Moving along. I mean, little things. I mean, should we talk about Dante Pettis real quick? Healthy scratch. Not suited up for this game. Kevin White suited up instead of Dante Pettis. What a slap in the face to Dante Pettis. Although he deserves it. He hasn't played well at the NFL. Sorry, dude. You didn't earn that spot. Kevin White's better than you. But what I want to say is, why is Dante Pettis still on this team? Why won't they just cut him? What are they waiting for? He's terrible. Cut him. He's not doing anything. Admit a mistake. You got the wrong guy. I don't understand what he's still doing here. I don't really have anything to say about that. I could go on a long rant about Dante Pettis, but there's nothing else to say. Cut him right now. The Dante Pettis era is over. He's a bust. Dante, you're a bust. Sorry. You're still welcome to join me on YouTube. Catman and Conehead. Cone Zone and Catman. Because it ain't happening for you on the field. What else? What else you want me to say? What should we talk about? We talk big picture. I mean, is it worth talking about like Jaquiski Tart? I thought he was great. He's playing his ass off this year. Hell of a player. Fred Warner too. Kerry Hyder. Kerry Hyder's a good player. See, to me, if I'm building a team, you want as many guys as possible who are like playing for a contract. Armstead isn't. Cohn isn't. Ward isn't. Who's playing for a contract on this defense? Hyder, Tart, and Ward. The good players. Is that like such a revolutionary thought? Like, hey, you want to motivate your players. Giving them all dozens of millions of dollars doesn't do that. I'm sorry. Hyder's playing great. Hell of a player. Someone's going to give him a lot of money. Usually I have better rants. It's not funny today. This is a sobering, dark post-game show, because it's not like like the last two times I came up here and we had a lot of fun. I was messing around about the Cardinals game and the Eagles game because it felt like the Niners were going to figure it out. They lost to the Cardinals. It was very much not like the Niners. Let's make fun of the Niners and they'll work it out. Then they lost to the Eagles. It's like, okay, let's really make fun of the Niners and they'll come back focused. They don't lose twice in a row. They're going to be okay. They're still going to go 12-4, 10-5. 11-5, something like that. Now it's like, you know what? This is who the Niners are. This is who the 2020 Niners are. What is the identity of the 2020 Niners? Let's describe it. Team comes out flat. Head coach who has more excuses than ideas. Team that loses 3 players to injury every week. A team that doesn't commit to its run game. A team that can't keep their quarterbacks healthy. That's the 2020 49ers. The 2020 49ers are a team that's in such denial that they don't even realize the season's over yet. It's over. They could work hard and get back into it, but basically the season's over. And they still think that what? They're on track. They've had some miscues, some bad luck. They weren't prepared for this season. I don't know what else to say. Is it worth talking about Trent Williams? He stinks, but the whole team stinks. It must be a leadership thing. Trent Williams is better than that. McGlinchey stinks. He's better than that. Who doesn't stink on this team right now? Like 4 guys. It's got to be from the top. If you guys have any questions, I'm willing to answer them, but I just can't believe this. They miss Staley's leadership. Yeah. Well, real quick. Wishnowsky doesn't stink. Okay, fair enough. Good for Wishnowsky. The thing about Joe Staley, the Niners gave him his due as he left and he retired, but there was this giddiness around the team. Like, yo, we love Joe Staley and, great career. All the best to him. We'll throw him a parade one day, but we got better at left tackle. Just between us. Staley was starting to lose it, and this Trent Williams guy is way better. Guys, Joe Staley is one of the greatest 49ers of all time, and Trent Williams ain't. Trent Williams may have had a great career in Washington, but as a Niner, he can't carry Joe Staley's jockstrap. And I got to feel like watching that game, Joe Staley privately feels like, well, maybe you guys shouldn't have been so eager to see me retire. Maybe you guys should have asked me just a little nicer to come back, because he's not that bad. I don't know. I saw Trent Williams a few years ago. He was great. Not now. So eager to get rid of Joe Staley. Remember Rich Eisen this offseason? He said the Niners had the best offseason of any team in the NFL. The best. Because they got Trent Williams and didn't lose anyone besides Buckner. Hey, Rich, you want to try that one again? I'm thinking the Niners didn't have the best offseason of any team in the NFL. I'm thinking they didn't. In fact, they might have had the worst offseason of any team in the NFL. They lied to themselves. They told themselves, we're the new Patriots. We're just going to be good because Kyle is the next Bill Belichick. We're just going to be good. Doesn't matter. Let's just keep it together. They broke the cardinal rule of football. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. You never stay the same. They know they didn't get better this offseason. They told themselves they stayed the same. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. You lost Buckner. You got worse. You lost Sanders. You got worse. They didn't realize how much worse they got. We don't even know how bad they are. They're not as good as the Dolphins. They're not as good as the Eagles. They're not as good as the Cardinals. Right now, we know they're better than 2 teams that have a combined 10 losses and 0 wins. That's how good the Niners are right now. But can they beat the Rams next week? Maybe. Okay. Let's talk positivity, all right? Let's talk positivity. What do the Niners need to do to save this season? Because look, we're getting real. They're 2-3. It's a brutal stretch coming up. They're probably screwed, but not necessarily. They could win the next 10 games and go 11 games and go 13-3. But they're not going to win another game if Brian Allen's out there. Jason Verrett having a good year. Jamar Taylor, good enough. Brian Allen, no. Akello Witherspoon, forget it. If they get Emmanuel Moseley back next week, the season's not over. If they get Emmanuel Moseley back next week, the defense should be fine. Okay? Because to me, what the problem the Niners had on defense today was their cornerback gave up, basically allowed 21 points, and the game was over before they benched him. There was nothing Saleh could do because they just kept throwing at that guy. So if Moseley comes back, you have Moseley and Verrett, the defense should be okay. Really. And so, I mean, the defense should be as good as it possibly can be. They don't have Bosa and Ford anymore, but they'll have 2 quality corners, a great middle linebacker, a terrific strong safety, and a terrific defensive coordinator. They'll be fine. They'll be as good as they can be. Is the offense ever going to show up? Is the offense ever going to reach its potential? You can't blame it on injuries. I mean, does Jimmy Garoppolo have to be 100% to play well? Because a lot of quarterbacks have played well while nursing injuries. Russell Wilson does it. Brett Favre did it. Ben Roethlisberger does it. Part of being a franchise quarterback is toughing it out. If you're only good when you're 100% healthy, then you're not a franchise quarterback. So, yeah, you get Moseley back. You should have a defense that gives up 20 points a game, 22, 23. You can win with a defense like that. You can't win with a defense like this. You have one bad corner on the field, it's over. If you get Moseley back, you're okay. They need this offense to step up. What's the problem? I mean, the offensive line is awful. You have 2 first-round picks at tackle. If they don't get it going, then this team's going nowhere. To me, they got to figure out answers on offense. The answer on defense is bench Brian Allen and bring back Emmanuel Moseley. When that happens, they'll be okay. They won't be great. The offense is supposed to be great, right? Kittle, Debo, Ayuk, Garoppolo, Mostert, McKinnon, Trent Williams, McGlinchey. What was that? 17 points? No. So, I don't know. The season isn't over. They can go on a run. Mosley's coming back theoretically, but the team is going nowhere if the offense plays like this. So to me, even though they gave up 43 points, the most discouraging thing about this game was the offense. They have no excuses. Now, they made the excuse that Jimmy Garoppolo's less than 100%. Sorry. That's the way it goes sometimes. They knew that going into the game. No excuses for this offense. Trade for Matt Ryan. Do something. Get this going. You only have 3 losses. Hell no. Hell freaking no. No. So let's list the things the Niners need next year. A new left tackle, a new right tackle, a new quarterback, 2 new corners. 5 things. Sounds like rebuilding. Sounds like rebuilding to me. Hold on, let me find it. Where's the Kaepernick comment? I love the Kaepernick comment. Oh. Here's the other thing about this organization. They thought they were past the Colin Kaepernick issue. Remember, the Niners are the team that had him. They're ultimately the team that has to, have an excuse for not having Colin Kaepernick on their team. And for years, they're like, well, we have Jimmy, we have Nick Mullins, we have CJ Beathard. Again, they're back at the, well, Colin wouldn't have been that bad. I gotta say, with exception of a couple of games, Colin never played that bad. That's how you know you're a bad organization. When 4 years after you cut Colin Kaepernick, you still have to answer the Colin Kaepernick question. Do we need to call Colin tomorrow? That stinks. Sorry, guys. Is Andy Reid looking to trade Mahomes for Jimmy? Yeah, probably. I would think so. You make the call. At least you got to make the call. Anyway, any more questions? This is kind of going off the rails. All right, guys. Okay. Draft a quarterback or get one in free agency. I would draft a quarterback. Hey, guys, I said the Niners should draft a quarterback this year, remember? And everyone made fun of me. You guys had a lot of fun at my expense all offseason, and I was a good sport about it. It was a good sport. But I said, hey, Jordan Love or Jacob Eason, pick one. Freaking pick one. Packers did. The Packers are a really good organization. They're winning. They drafted Jordan Love. Niners didn't, because they like CJ Beathard. They believed in Jimmy Garoppolo. The future in the NFL is mobile quarterbacks. I'm not saying Jordan Love is definitely going to be good, but at least he has the physical attributes required in 2020 to play quarterback. Jimmy doesn't. I'm sorry. He doesn't. Pocket passers, that era's over. Offensive line play is atrocious in the NFL, and defensive linemen are faster than ever. If a quarterback can't protect himself on his own, he's going to struggle. He's not going to be consistently good. The Niners just figured that out. Maybe they haven't. We figured it out. So draft these guys. The college football produces these type of players. Draft one. Doesn't have to be first round, but you got to get one. To think that Kyle Shanahan passed on Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes because they scramble too much, because he wants a statue. Kyle, get with the times. It's not 1997 anymore. You can't draft a defensive lineman every year, neglect defensive backs entirely, and win with a quarterback who's a statue. You can't. You can't. You came close last year. You were a really good coach last year, and you did the best you could to win with an offense that was like straight out of 1987. You got to get with the times. You need a mobile quarterback. All right? You passed on a lot. You got to find one next year. You could have had Jordan Love. Could have had Deshaun Watson. But you wanted CJ Beathard because he takes a good hit. Well, guess what? Your quarterbacks are going to be taking a lot of freaking hits until you find one who can run. Got it? Kyle, anytime you want to hire me as general manager or quality control, scout, I mean, I give you this advice for free. I could be in your ear. I could be calling you during the games, telling you what to do. I could have found you the next cornerback. You wouldn't have been stuck with Brian Allen had you given me a job in the organization. So that's on you. I should be working for you. I could make your team better, Kyle. I've been trying. Instead of arguing with me, just accept that I'm right about everything. You've been wrong about a lot this year, and I need to be on the staff. I just want to help. I can help. And here's the thing, Kyle. I guarantee you I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm not on your team, but I have a feeling your assistant coaches tell you what they want to hear, what you want to hear. You don't hire guys who are older than you or didn't work for your dad or have their own perspective. You hire guys who say, Kyle's the best. Kyle's genius. Kyle's brilliant. You need someone like me who says, Kyle, did you think of this? Kyle, I disagree with you. Kyle, I see it a totally different way. If he was a real leader, he would want those kind of people around him. It doesn't need to be me. Opposing viewpoints. Bill Walsh had him. Kyle, hire me. You need me. Quality control. I mean, this is quality control right here, but pay for it, and I'll give you the premium subscription. It's like Pro Football Focus. Like, you can kind of watch it, and they'll give you some numbers here and there, but if you want the real experience, you want to know why you lost and how to get better, you got to actually give me money. Pay me the money. Show me the money. I'll make you better. I think you did a really good job, Kyle, on your own, as well as could be expected. But now you need me. I told you Jimmy wasn't the one. I told you needed a corner. I told you Javon Kinlaw was a luxury pick. He's all right. I mean, he has no quarterback sacks or hits through 5 games. You can definitely find players like that after the draft. Kevin Givens, hello. I try to tell you, but if you hire me, I can text you. You know what I mean? Because everyone watches my Periscopes across the league, and all my good ideas get taken by all the teams. You could have a monopoly on me. Kyle, get me off the market. Stop letting your opponents hear all my great ideas. Stop letting me pick your team to win blowout victories, because every time I do that, you lose. What if I do it next week, Kyle? What if I say that your team's going to blow out the Rams next week? What if I do that? I have that power. If I do that, you lose. So what's it worth it to you for me to not do that? I'd take a box of donuts. A nice box of Krispy Kremes would prevent me from writing that column. You know what I'm saying? Maybe a deep dish Zachary's pizza. But you got to make it worth my while, because I'm itching to write that the Niners are going to bounce back and blow out the Rams. 39-7. I'm going to do it. Kyle, the ball is in your court. If you want to win some games, you know who to call. You want to keep losing? Let me know. Because I'll keep saying how good your team is and all the excuses that they need. It's not your fault. Next week, they're going to bounce back. They're going to put a statement on the Rams and win 87-2. I can do that, Kyle. You don't want me to do that. For whatever reason, you're not the motivator of the 49ers. I am. I'm the reason they played well last year, not you. I said they'd go 6-10, and that was the motivation they needed. I'm sure you used it. I'm sure you showed them every single time I said they would go 6-10, and they proved me wrong. Who are they proving wrong this year? Everyone says they're great. You say they're great. You ain't great. But I said you go 12-4. I wasn't willing to give you that type of free motivation this year. You got to pay for it, Kyle. You got to figure it out. Put me on the staff. Look, I can be the offensive coordinator and you can be the head coach. That way you separate the jobs, because you got too much on your plate now, man. Calling the plays, being the head coach. Nah. Let me be the offensive coordinator. Or the coordinator of common sense. How about the coordinator of common sense? That way, in the second half of the Super Bowl, when you still haven't called that end around that was working in the first half, I'll be like, hey, Kyle, I'll be on the sideline. That way you don't miss me. I'll just tap you on the shoulder and be like, call the end around. And you'll be like, oh yeah, thanks, Grant. And I'll be like, you owe me a nickel for that. 2 nickels. I'm cheap. You kidding? I don't ask for a lot. I just want a nickel. A nice, shiny nickel, Kyle. And this comes back to the organization. You can't cut corners financially. You want to have another winning season? Why am I not on the coaching staff? How am I not in the front office? You watch my Periscopes. You know I'm the smartest beat writer in the country. I'm trying my best to help you. Get over yourself. I'm sorry. But you guys, you agree with me on that one. I could help. I am not indoctrinated into the Kyle Shanahan way of thinking like everyone else on this team is. I'm not impressed with Kyle. He needs some people on his team that aren't impressed with him. He's not a champion. He should be. I mean, Joe Staley, the rest of his life, has to live with not being a champion because Kyle blew it. What do you think Joe Staley thinks of Kyle? Don't you wish you could ask Joe Staley what he really thinks of this organization? What do you think Joe Staley thinks of Jed York? Who knows Jed York better than Joe? I hope, I'm going to leave after this. I hope Joe Staley writes a book one day and airs out the Yorks. No one knows how awful they are more than him. I mean, Bill Walsh knew, but he's dead. Jim Harbaugh knows, but if he says it, it sounds like sour grapes. Joe, write the book. Expose these frauds. Niner fans deserve better than this. This is the Eddie D team, man. Eddie would never let this happen. Joe, write the book. Write an essay. Call me up. Give me the one-on-one interview. Because someone needs to hold this organization's feet to the fire. And it's you, Joe, and me. Hire Joe and hire me as the coordinators of common sense. You'll win next week against the Rams. Okay? My email is grantcohn@gmail.com. My DMs on Twitter are open. Anyone from the 49ers organization, hit me up. I'm going to go home right now and devise a game plan for the Rams. So I'm going to be at the drawing board. Let me know. Let me know if you want some help. Thanks for watching. I'm getting out of here. See you guys later.